Tonight's Xfinity TV High School Football Game of the Week Postgame show is brought to you by the Pittsburgh Sports Report, Pittsburgh's premier sports publication. Visit them on the web at pittsburghsportsreport.com. Well, just think about it. Third quarter, it was getting late in the third period, and the Newcastle Red Hurricanes had a 28-7 lead over the Montour Spartans, and somehow Montour found the wherewithal to get it back together and pull off a victory here. Ended up getting tied late in the game, but Montour came back and scored again. 35-31, they win it.
You know, it really has a lot to say about being resilient. It was 28-7, and Newcastle, they were cruising. I mean, they were doing it their way, and Montour was not responding. And we talked at that time when we saw Montour come back and cut it in half and said, you know what, it has to start somewhere. Who knows where it's headed, but it's got to be one drive at a time, and that's certainly what happened there. So they're back in the game. And then from that point, the script really was flipped the rest of the game. At halftime, we talked about the big plays favoring Newcastle. Well, the second half was filled with them, particularly in the pass game for Montour. You saw more workmanlike effort by Newcastle. Not that there was anything wrong with that. They had the lead. But it was really a gutty performance for Montour to get back off the floor, get back in the game, and then get the win.
Yeah, absolutely. And Montour gets the win and really only gets its first lead of the game as we take a look at our Best of the Match Foundation play of the game here tonight. And it was a dazzler. It was the last touchdown scored in this game. And there was Mormon throwing to Brandon Lipford, and he went 57 yards with the football. Now watch him. He didn't cross the goal line. And the reason being is because he was trying to take time off the clock before anybody from Newcastle could get near him, and then he sidestepped that goal line and jumped into the end zone. But very heady play by Brandon Lipford, not only getting a successful catch and run, but again, getting the clock to keep ticking before he stepped in.
You know, Chris, I was wondering, and I was about to say, I wondered why he went in. Because he didn't have a player around him in white. But that's the first time I saw it. If you saw him look to the coach, he went to the bench. When they did, he must have been told, get in there. So he went in. He killed enough time.
Let's go to Meg Bulger with Coach Lucero on the sidelines right now. Meg?
Oh, man, Coach, just while you're still taking it all in, I mean, I talked to you at halftime, and you didn't even seem fazed by it. I mean, you knew that there was a whole lot of football to be played, but just, I mean, tell me what you're thinking right now.
Yeah, I mean, to come back like that, we didn't. I mean, huge plays in the third quarter. Our kids played great in the fourth quarter. They sucked it up, made big stops, especially in the fourth down by the goal line to hold them to a field goal. I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of my kids and coaches. I mean, they worked their butts off tonight to make sure we got the victory.
I asked you at halftime about offense and what you could do to start generating some points. And you got 4 almost unanswered touchdowns besides that field goal for them. What was the biggest difference? I mean, with the passing game started to open up as well.
We went to our quick no huddle, and I think it confused them a little bit, and I think their linemen got a little tired. So and our athletes made plays, and that's all we asked for them to do.
Didn't make the playoffs last year, so I know this first win feels good, but I know you guys aren't looking to stop here. But just how rewarding is it to be here where you are?
It's rewarding. This senior class hasn't won a playoff game. We talked about that all year, and they showed a lot of gumption and got it done tonight. And so we're looking forward to next week.
All right, Coach. Good luck. Enjoy the win.
Thank you very much,
Chris.
All right, Meg. Well, that senior class, Coach Ciro, just won its first playoff game, and in dazzling fashion. Again, down 28-7 late in the third period of play. As Meg said, they scored 3 unanswered touchdowns. Newcastle came back, ended up taking the lead 31-28 on a 27-yard Cartwright field goal. And Montour finally took its first lead in the ball game with 1:49 left on that play we just watched.
Yeah, there's so much just went through my mind. He talked about the defense making a stop right over here on third down. It was a third and long. How'd that third and long come about? Well, it came about because of the penalty, and that took it back. And then when it looked as if there may be room to get that ball in the end zone on a wide pitch, you got the stop at the 10-yard line. But there was time, and it only took a couple of plays. Lipford scores. We have his numbers. We'll get to them in a moment. But that ball across the middle was open the whole second half, and on the crossing route to Lipford, once he was able to get to the edge, it went off. How would you like to be Newcastle, though? 414 yards, 385 of that rushing, and they lose.
Wow, just an amazing night, no doubt about it, and a great comeback for Montour here tonight. Right now, let's go down to Meg Bulger once again with the star of our game, our Pittsburgh Sports Report player of the game, and guess who it is?
Well, Brandon, I don't know, something tells me you're the emotional leader of this team. I mean, what was going through your heads at halftime and then going your head at third and fourth quarter with this comeback?
Everybody has a role in the team. I feel like my role is the Energizer Bunny. I just got to keep everybody up. If everybody's up, everybody starts staying on, we start clicking. One part's a machine, every part moves, we start rolling, and I love it. It's just, we had to do what we had to do to come out the win. It didn't come easy, but I wouldn't rather come any other way.
You guys scored almost 4 unanswered touchdowns, but was it the defense that kind of started generating that momentum for the comeback? And was there a moment when you felt like, all right, we can come back, we can do this?
When we recovered that sky kick to the right, Byron Payne recovered it, I feel like that was the greatest. That turned it around right there, and we felt you could just feel it in the stadium. Everybody just brightened up. It was time to go. We had to.
Coach talked about the senior class not having won a playoff game, making to the playoffs as well. So just how's it feel, just from the standpoint of getting here? I'm sure now you're not ready to go home next week.
I mean, transferring from West Allegheny and making playoffs and being a part of this and coming here and being grateful for the opportunity. I just love everybody for took me in for open arms and everybody that I'm just glad to be a part of this, and it's just a great feeling, and I wouldn't rather be with anybody else.
All right, they're lucky to have you. Good luck next week.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Chris?
All right, that's a happy guy, Meg, no doubt about it. Brandon Lifford scoring the game-winning touchdown here from Montour tonight on that 57-yard pass from Kayvon Mormon, but he had that earlier touchdown, that 10-yard run as well. And he said the onside kick is what turned things around. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, he called it a sky kick.
Yeah.
and we talked about how high it was, and they targeted a linebacker for Newcastle, and that was as big a play for them as Sam's play when he deflected and intercepted the ball on Montour's shuttle pass. So, to be honest with you, big plays at the right time are the difference. Let's give a couple of things out about Lifford, though. He had a 47-yard punt return and set up a touchdown we've seen. He had those 3 carries for only 15. One was a touchdown, as we're well aware. 2 receptions for 73. Throw in 18 on a kickoff return. He had a pretty good all-purpose night, would you not say?
I think that's why he's our Pittsburgh Sports Report player of the game.
And the other kid we talked about at the beginning of the game is Mormon. This kid really had a strong second half. 7 of 8, 172 and 2 touchdowns. His totals show a total all-around performance in the pass and run. He's a dual-threat guy. They got things going with the athletes and the big plays in the second half.
One of the other things that we were pointing out in the second half when Montour was down 3 scores is they did pick up the pace, and Lucero, their head coach, admitted, we went to our quicker offense, and that put Newcastle on its heels, and it kind of took their defense out of kilter.
Well, the first possession of the second half went to Montour, and you said there's time and that they could be, workmanlike, a phrase we use a lot, and they could be, and they were. But when they didn't get anything out of it, that second possession showed a lot more urgency, reflected in what they were calling, the scheme that they were calling it from. I think you're 100% right. Great observation.
All right. Montour doesn't get a lead until the tail end of the ball game, but that's the best time of the game to have a lead, and they come back and win it after 3 touchdowns down in this ball game. For Ellis Cannon, Meg Bulger, our entire Viewpoint Production Services crew, I'm Chris Shovlin. Thank you so much for tuning in. We saw another great ball game here, this one in the first round of the WPIL playoffs. The Montour Spartans rally to win over Newcastle 35-31.